So our next presenter is Maria Stavrakis. Maria is the founder and creative director of Made You Look. Maria has over 17 years experience in the graphic design industry and has worked with very diverse clients from the government for not-for-profits. Maria's branding insights, her creativity, unique approach to the design process, and the particular focus she directs towards her clients sets her apart from her contemporaries. Her work for not-for-profits over the years has helped them not only define their brand, but also develop strategic marketing material that works. So if you can please welcome Maria to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for such a warm welcome. Now, I thought I'd start today by giving you a bit of insight into my background and my experience, but it's not about me today. What I really want to do is share with you some tips and some questions around how to build an engaging brand strategy and the criteria to do so. So as you know, my name's Maria Stavrakis, and I'm the owner of a brand agency called Made You Look Visual Communication. We get a lot of stares and a lot of quiet responses. We get Made You Look, You Do to Chook. We get everything. We've heard it all, but we have a brand that people remember. Now, as you know, I've got 17 years of experience in working with brands from entrepreneurial startups to government departments, non-for-profits, and we work with basically any business that has a story to tell. And we're really passionate about doing that. But over the years, we've designed material from donation campaigns, conference material, membership kits, marketing campaigns, and the list goes on. Anything that you want to be able to communicate to your target audience, we're able to deliver it. But with each and every project, there's one fundamental criteria we must address. Now, without this, no matter what the design looks like and how beautiful it is pointless and it doesn't work. It is how do we connect with our consumers? Now, for today's purpose, I'm going to use the word consumers because I know a lot of you either have members that you deal with, customers, clients, donors. So just for the point of encompassing all of those people, I'm going to use the word consumers. So how do we get those consumers' attention? How do we get them to listen? But more importantly, how do we get them to engage and ultimately buy from you, donate to you, follow you, and be loyal to you? Easier said than done. But today, we're more connected as a society more than ever. So how can connecting with potential consumers be so difficult? We can find them through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through Pinterest, connect with them via email campaigns, blast our message on large billboards on freeways while they're driving, place ads on trams, advertise in magazines, newspapers, and the list goes on. So why is it so difficult? How are we heard, and how do we engage people to care about our brand, but also start engaging in a conversation with us? Now, the first criteria to be able to do this is we need to define our own brand story. What is our story, and what is our purpose? Why do you do what you do? And thank goodness for all of you in here for non-for-profits. I guarantee you all know what you do and why you do it and that you're passionate about it. Now, so when I was asked to present at this conference, I thought about what was I able to share that could offer you some value and that you were able to go away and use and be applicable to everyone in this room. No pressure. So I first thought to myself, well, what's my story and what do I believe in? Now, I love being able to create a message for businesses and brands that get a response, that get a connection, that works. Now, Steve Jobs had a famous quote that said, "Design is not what it looks like. Design is how it works." And I really believe that. I plastered it all over the studio for all my designers to see. So I believe that every brand has a story to tell. And if you tell it right and if you make impact, it can be quite powerful for that brand in making a connection with their consumers, with their target audience, and actually altering their behaviour. Now, The way we do that with our clients is we hold workshops, and over the years I've held many workshops with many clients who are in different phases of their brand, whether they're rejuvenating an old brand, whether they're changing their business model, they're changing their focus, or whether they're a startup. It doesn't really matter. The questions are the same. But the key thing is the information that our clients hold is really the criteria that sets our brief and the criteria that sets the brand strategy. And we push and we poke and we challenge them and we ask them questions. When we ask it once, we get a response. We ask it twice, they dig deeper. We ask it 3 times. We don't ask the same question, but we ask it in a different way. And you start to see their passion, you start to see their knowledge, you start to see their experience. They know their consumers best. I don't know them best, they do. My job is to get that information out and be able to mirror it back to them, and actually my job is to then write the brand strategy. So, they come out of our workshops feeling invigorated, feeling excited, feeling a sense of clarity, and feeling that they have the information that they always held. It just needed to be articulated and, given them some clarity around it to be able to move forward. And they're always excited when they leave our workshops, which gives me a thrill. So I'm going to do a bit of poking and prodding and share with you all those questions that we ask our clients and share those with you today. I used to be one of those kids who asked a lot of questions as a kid. I was one of those annoying kids, why and how, and throughout my whole life, I'd see something and I'd look at it as a picture and go, but how does that work and why is it there? And I'd never took it for face value. And I now have a toddler who for the first time last week said to me, what's that? And she's asked me that about 10 times a day since then. And I thought, I think that's called karma. And I feel the need to apologise to my parents. But joking aside, that curiosity actually gave me the thinking about looking at something and actually thinking about how does it work and why is it there and why should I respond? And started to make me think about the psychological side of it, the emotional side of it. I'm one of those weird creatives that's left brain and right brain. So I can see the rational and I can see the creative, but I also want to understand the thinking behind it, the strategy behind it. Why? Why are you speaking to me and what do you want and how does it work? So in year 8, I actually remember this moment when I ticked my elective and I thought, graphic design, that is it. It gives me purpose, it allows me creativity, and 25 years later, from year 8, I'm showing my age, I'm standing here talking to you about brand strategy and how design can actually impact a business, impact a brand, be an investment for your brand and actually bring value. It's not just pretty pictures. So, I know a lot of you in the room here are CEOs or board members, marketing managers, managers of all sorts, but you're all brand advocates for the brand that you work for. And some of you are brand custodians. And, your job is to make consumers feel, connect, like, love, try, and buy your brand. Sorry, can you hear me? Is it going in and out? It's all about building a brand that people will believe in, relate to, connect with. So you may all be in different stages of your brand, have different marketing campaigns running at the moment, have different strategies, but the one thing that all connects you are these fundamental questions that I'm going to share with you. So I'm not going to give you the answers, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I'm one of those little kids that ask a lot of questions, but it's your answers that you're going to find clarity in, and once you have those answers, that is what will build your unique brand strategy. And also a checklist against every marketing campaign you have out there, every type of communication that you're actually promoting to that consumer. You can cross-check against this criteria. So let's get started. I missed the check, so bear with me. Okay, the who. The first question we need to ask when defining our brand strategy is who. Who is your brand, product or service designed to appeal to, and what are they like? Define your target audience. We all know our target audience, but we need to know more than it's a 30-plus mum with a high disposable income. It's a baby boomer. We need to start building the story of who these people are and how do they live. And is your target audience actually different to your current consumer? It's not a strange question to ask. Some of our clients have some really great clients or consumers that they work with, but they really have an ideal target audience that they haven't tapped into yet. So identifying those two target audiences and seeing where there's a gap, if you don't know who you want to ultimately speak to, how can you create marketing campaigns to speak to them? So we need to find that clarity. What is your relationship with them and what would you like it to be? Again, if we don't know what our relationship is with them, define it, write it down, put it on a whiteboard at work, but be able to sum it up in a statement. How do they see you? How do they perceive you? Understand how they work and how they live. Start to paint the picture of your ultimate target audience. Is it a mum who has 3 children at home and she's got access to social media and she's got a lot of friends? Tell me the story of who this person is that you want to connect with. Because if we understand who they are and what influences their buying behaviour, we all have a mental checklist in our minds when we're looking at something, when we're inquiring, when we're about to buy something. And when we look at a product or a service, we have a little tick box in our mind and we go, yep, that makes me feel good, that meets the price criteria, and we all have a set of criteria that we check against. So we need to understand what is it that influences their buying behaviour, a what or a who, is it a family member, is it the environment that they're in? Identify that. Are there any industry perceptions that are a challenge or a barrier? Or is there an advantage? Usually we come up against a lot of perceptions that are barriers, whether it's a competitor that's maybe had some bad media coverage that, has sort of rubbed itself onto the whole industry. Identifying those perceptions helps create the messaging around that. Sometimes brands just go straight for it and say, yes, we understand that you don't like us, as a bank, for example, but this is who we really are. And so by understanding that, you're able to acknowledge it and actually work through it. The what. So what is important, different, unique about your brand and what's in it for your consumers? It's not really about the story that you want to tell them, it's about what they want to hear and how does it benefit them. How does your brand fit in with the way consumers live and work? And is it important to them and does it meet their needs? Does it meet their wants? So starting to build a picture of how they live and how they work and then how your brand fits into that picture is really important to understand. Like you heard, the information donations are down, over the last few years. So how do we engage with that audience? Are they willing to donate, but they just don't know to who? Or is it that they have a smaller pool of money that they want to be able to donate and they're very particular about it? So who do they donate to? I get calls every month at our office asking for donations. And I remember saying to one, I want to donate to you all. All of your causes sound fantastic to me. Why wouldn't you? But how do I then make a selection? I maxed out my credit card and then that's how it stopped. But identify your USP. What is your unique selling proposition? Now, I'm sure that you all know what your unique selling proposition is, but identify it. If it's a couple of years old, go back and check it again, read it again. Is it still relevant? Do you need to change it? Do you need to add to it? And who are you competing with? Now, how are you positioned in your market? Who are your competitors and how are they influencing your market? I have a client who has been around for 50 years and they have had 40% market share in their industry and didn't really care about any marketing collateral. They were fine, and all of a sudden they dropped to 39%. And so they came to see us, and they told us technology's changed and we've been at the forefront of technology. We're the industry leaders. And what I said to them is, but you're not communicating it. Your website's 10 years old. You're not telling people how you are relevant today. And so it's really important that you still communicate where you are at now and what your vision is for the future and where you are in the market. The how. How do consumers relate, connect, engage with your brand at a physical, rational, and emotional level? Now, this is where we get quite complicated, and this is the part I love because, we can look into psychology and emotion. But what makes the question complex is that brand management is partly created by your organisation, but equally it's created by the perceptions, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviours of those consumers you're engaging with. Do their attitudes and beliefs align with yours? Do we know that? Again, going back to building the story of that target audience, we want to know so much about them. Now, we don't have all the information, but I guarantee you, if you speak to your staff, the ones that are talking to your consumers directly, they have some valuable insights that you can share and that you can use into your marketing strategy. So, how do you relate with them on a physical level? Are they participating in a run? Do they feel that they're contributing in a charity event? How do you connect with them on a rational level? Does what you ask of them make sense, and is it practical? How do you connect with them on an emotional level? Now, this is a big one. We designed a lot of donation campaigns, and I remember all of our designers would be quite upset after designing a donation campaign for one of the charities because they felt that they needed to donate. And this poor kid and what he's going through, and it really connected with all of us. And we had to switch off after a while, so we were able to design it and get the most impact for our clients. Does your connection make them feel good? Does it make them feel proud? Does it make them feel like they're making a change or they're contributing to someone or somewhere in the world? Does it make them feel that they belong? Maybe they belong to a community. How do you connect with them on an emotional level? The how. Ooh, I've swapped it around. We're going freestyle now. I'm going to go for the when. Okay. When do people use your brand, product, service, and how do they use it? Every contact your consumer or potential consumer has with your brand forms their brand experience. This helps shape their expectations and understanding of your brand promise. So if you go out and say to your audience, we promise X, Y, Z, and over the years, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, people are listening. Whether it's just a little message, they don't know where, they file it away, and all of a sudden it's time for them to buy or to call or to inquire. Now, all those messages that you've been sending out to them, it's time for them to experience that. So the question is your brand promise actually meeting their expectations and the promise that you set that they will have if they interact with your brand? The where. Where will your consumers find your brand, your product, or your service, and how will they recognise it? What are your brand touch points? Is it social media? Is it face-to-face? Is it word of mouth? Phone calls, email, TV, radio? Write it down on a map, get a whiteboard out and actually draw it out. Draw out all your different communication channels and actually look at them very specifically and find out which ones are the most engaging or which ones have the most results, the best results, and ask why. Is it because it's Facebook and you're actually connecting with that specific target audience and you're getting that response? Is it your website because you're giving them the information that they need? Ask why. And then once you've got that data, you're able to actually build on that strategy. And are you consistent with your brand and your messaging? Do you tell your story consistently? And ensure that all your marketing collateral, from your letterhead to your website, to your phone calls, to every brand experience, to everything that you put out there, is it consistent? This got nothing to do with non-for-profits, but I saw a photo on Facebook of a client of mine and he was in Dubai and I took a photo having dinner with his daughter and it was a very close shot, no branding, and I looked at the photo and I said, he's having dinner at the Cheesecake Factory. And I love the Cheesecake Factory. Every time I'm in Hawaii, I attend it. So I have the exact same photo in a different country and I sent him a text saying, is that the Cheesecake Factory? And he said, how did you know that? All I saw was lighting and cutlery and food. And so what I realised is they know their brand so well, they actually make it consistent all over the world, from the type of lighting that they use, the type of seating that they have, the furniture, the cutlery, and the way they display their food. What they're saying to you is that wherever you go in the world, you'll have the same brand experience if you come to visit our restaurant. When you're a tourist, that means security. That means something that you can recognise and that you can feel good about. So they definitely know their brand. And the why. Why do you do what you do as an organisation? What do you believe? Why should your target audience care about, like your brand and love your brand? Why should they be loyal to your brand? And how do you drive that behaviour? Now, I came across a video quite a few years ago of a TED Talk. The presenter was called Simon Sinek. And he talked about the why. Now, I usually don't show other people's presentations in my presentations, but there was no point in me actually just, replaying or just reiterating what he said. So I'm actually going to play this video for you, and the video is going to talk about how important the why is. Now, without the why, and if you can't define your why, then how can you ask people to actually buy from you, to engage with you, to follow you, to donate to you? So it's quite a powerful talk. It's based on a simple idea called the Golden Circle. And the topic was really about how great leaders inspire action, and actually supports what Anne was saying this morning about leadership and innovation. So I'm showing you the edited version. In your notes, there's actually the full version. There's a link to the full version, which is 18 minutes, but it's such inspiring words that I recommend that you watch the whole video. But we're going to show you an edited version now about the why, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'll be back in a few minutes. That is it. Now, I think Simon's given us a lot of information to think about, but he provides that clarity around why is so important to building that foundation in your brand. Now, the questions we just covered before support the why. Once you know the why, then understanding your target audience, you can connect with them, you can communicate with them, and you can drive and change their buying behaviour or any type of behaviour. So you can see how important the why is. So I highly recommend you have a look at the video in your own time. And as he said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So I'm asking the last question today. I promise no more questions. So what does your organisation believe? I'll leave it there today. Thank you for your time.